Join me once again here on Talkin Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. And today we start off with a bit of sad news out of Australia, or shall I say Florida, in fact, where one of my favorite female fighters, Avril Mathie, has announced that she's going to have to back out of her upcoming fight. It was going to be on the undercard of the Regis Progress versus Devin Haney fight in San Francisco, where she was scheduled to fight Ebanie Bridges. The two Aussies, much ballyhooed in Australia, certainly. This fight was something that the fellas down under, and I guess some young ladies were looking forward to seeing. But now it won't happen because Avril Mathie has been ruled out after suffering an injury in training for the clash. Sad news indeed. But Ebanie Bridges is looking for someone else to challenge her for that IBF title she holds. All right, let's move on to other titles and other controversies ongoing. It seems like Eddie Hearn has called on the Irish government to make Croke Park more feasible for a trilogy bout between Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron following their rematch at the 3 Arena in Dublin. Hearn says the prospect of Taylor competing in front of home crowd at Dublin's renowned venue carries emotional weight and could break attendance records. He says, I'll tell you something, the politicians and the Irish government need to make Croke Park happen. Katie's done everything for the sport and everything for this country. She deserves it more than anyone, he said. And we could make a financial case on the tourism and why an event like this would be a huge success for this country. But if they can't understand the compassionate side or giving this event on a night on their greatest ever athlete, then I don't really know what we are doing. We're not even asking for favors. All we're asking for is the cost to be in line with the biggest stadium in the world where we hold boxing. We don't want a free stadium. If they want to give us one, that would be marvelous. All we're saying is just make it there or thereabouts at Wembley or Millennium Stadium or even at Dallas Cowboys. So Eddie Hearn whining about money. Now, someone else who's not whining about money, but who has hit the headlines pretty hard due to his Irish Stout being in the headlines as one of the sponsors of the Katie Taylor-Chantel Cameron fight. It has come up in headlines across the UK that his venture, his beer, his pub is losing money. In files offered by Jemmy Ventures, the company that oversees the pub owned by McGregor, it recorded losses of like 432,000 euros last year, which translates to around $600,000 US. In 2021, the Black Forge Inn posted losses totaling just over 1 million euros, or approximately nearly $2 million US after the pub struggled during its opening year due to the global pandemic. No surprise. All told, McGregor's pub has accounted for over $2 million in losses since the business venture started, per financial figures reported by The Independent over in Ireland. So while losses have accumulated, Jemmy Ventures values Black Forge Inn and all of its assets at a net book value of over £4 million or $6 million, 4 million euros or $6 million at the end of 2022, a few years ago. The amount owed on a loan provided to the business also dropped from 5.3 million euros to 4.1 million euros at the end of last year, per the report. So this all seems like really bad news for Conor McGregor and his partners as it continues to post losses. And as it continues to post losses, McGregor continues to expand his portfolio around the business, which includes purchasing the Porterhouse Brewery in Dublin, which now manufactures his Forge Irish Stout beer, which sponsored that Katie Taylor-Chantel Cameron fight. McGregor started the beer brand after previously launching Proper No. 12 whiskey, a hugely popular liquor that was eventually sold to Proximo Spirits for a reported $600 million US. Following a split with his partners, McGregor reportedly took home between 130, 150 million bucks from the sale, which helped him top the Forbes list for the highest paid athlete in the world in 2021. The former two-division UFC champ, and I rarely ever, if ever, talk about UFC champs other than Francis Ngannou, I suppose. McGregor's also continued to expand his real estate portfolio, which now includes a new apartment building that will feature 200 units on property he owns. In other words, the $2 million plus losses for his pub won't even break the bank on McGregor. He's continued building his business empire. As for his fighting career, looks like he's scheduled to go up against Michael Chandler next year. So all those reports that you might see hitting the headlines, courtesy of UK press, just take a look at the reality of just how wealthy this young man is as a fighter and the opportunities that present themselves on a global level for all those fighters making a lot of money and not really knowing what to do with that money and potentially going into the ring at a risk of having themselves hurt or ending their careers, or worse, ending their lives. And there's a few people who come to mind, and I've mentioned them often on Talkin Fight, but I need not mention them here. Just look at the positives. You don't have to continue fighting once you've made your money. Invest it in something you love, something that you're passionate about, and turn the world on to. Speaking of passion, it seems that Skye Nicolson, after her recent victory over Lucy Wildheart, is looking to fight Amanda Serrano. And the Australian is confident of making the superstar look rather silly. Australia's Skye Nicolson remains adamant she is the woman to dethrone Amanda Serrano at featherweight, even if the Puerto Rican superstar has other plans. Nicolson improved to 9-0 in less than 2 years of professional boxing when she defended her interim featherweight title against Lucy Wildheart on the weekend on that undercard of Chantel Cameron and Katie Taylor's fight. She recorded her first stoppage victory in what was her career best performance. Nicolson has been lining up a fight with Serrano since making the switch to the pros, and following the win over Wildheart, has taken another opportunity to call out the 35-year-old. She said, obviously, I want the Serrano fight. She's a champion in my division. I want to be world champion. I want to prove to the world that I'm the best, and I want to do that by beating the best. I want to fight the best. That's why I'm calling her out. I want to show my level. I want to prove that I'm worthy. That's why I call her out. It's never out of disrespect. While Nicolson has made fairly light work of her 9 professional opponents to date, some believe Serrano could be a bridge too far. With a record of 46-2-1, Serrano's only defeat in more than a decade came at the hands of arguably the greatest female boxer of all time, Katie Taylor. Let's move along then to see what else is making news in the women's world of boxing here. Natasha Jonas is adamant her power will shock Michaela Mayer. She said, I just don't see her hurting me. Natasha Jonas defends her IBF welterweight title against Michaela Mayer at the M&S Bank Arena in Liverpool, live on Sky Sports, January 20th. She's going to have to deal with getting punched by someone naturally bigger and stronger, warns Jonas. I just don't see her hurting me. So we look forward to that fight on January 20th. Let's see if she says anything else of interest. The Liverpudlian is certain a differential in punch power will favor her. Yes, I think so, said Jonas. I know what it feels like to take and absorb those shots from bigger girls, and I just don't see her hurting me in that sense. There's a lot of different variables that she's going to have to deal with, and one of them is getting punched by a naturally bigger and stronger girl. Alrighty, let's move on to some Japanese fighting going on in the men's division here. WBA super flyweight champ Kazuto Ioka, 32-1, 50 knockouts, will defend his newly acquired belt against WBA number 8 Venezuelan Jasper Perez. He's 20-3 in Tokyo on New Year's Eve. It'll be his first defense take place at the Oda City General Gymnasium, and it's publicly announced by Shisei Promotions on Monday. Very good for Ioka. All right. Big question going into Ryan Garcia's next fight. He's taking on Oscar Duarte, and is it a mistake? Let's have a quick look at what BoxingNews24.com has to say. Ryan Garcia is taking a giant risk with his career by facing the hard-hitting, tough Mexican brawler Oscar Duarte in his first official fight in the 140-pound weight class. to take place on December 2nd. Given Ryan's chin problem and his weakness in taking body shots, Duarte has an excellent chance of knocking him out, leaving his career in the mud. As it is, Ryan's viability at 140 has poor prognosis. Duarte's toughness and heavy hands could be 100% nightmare for Ryan if he's not able to knock him out with his left hooks. This is not the type of guy that you want to let hang around in the later rounds if you're Ryan. If he gets through if he gets through this fight, he'll do what most believe and cash out against Teofimo Lopez in February and likely retire after he's knocked out. He said in the past he would retire by then. He's 23-1, by the way, 19 knockouts. That's Garcia. And he's the favorite to win given experience and power advantage against better opposition than the 27-year-old Duarte, who's 26-1-1, 21 knockouts in their round at a still to be determined location. So we'll have to wait and see where that's going to take place. In a fight yet finalized, but something I don't like to talk about, someone I don't like to talk about. I don't like to talk about rumors, and this one is a decent rumor because it's ongoing, and I don't understand why it is ongoing. But the British just have it. They want it this way. The British domestic level celebrity scrap between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn is reportedly being finalized this week. And do we around the world care? No. Between the two of them, they're looking at February 3rd at the 53,000-seat Tottenham Spurs Stadium in London. It's reported that this has been an ongoing interest for English boxing fans for over a year, but Conor Benn has been tested positive for taking drugs he's not supposed to be taking, and that has obviously hurt the attraction of him personally. But the fight against Eubank Jr. apparently is something that the fans would like to see, probably according to Eddie Hearn. But Eubank Jr. lost, to Liam Smith, and that certainly has not helped his, shall we say, rankings in the public eye. Certainly around the world, as I've said, but not so much over in England. So let's stop it right there because it is just a rumor that they may fight. And another may fight, but likely will happen, is Vasily Lomachenko and George Kambosas Jr. They're being finalized for an IBF fight at 135 pounds, set to take place in April over in Australia, or should I say down under in Australia. A decent fight for sure, but both of those fellas are getting on and are certainly sliding down the rankings in the eye of the public, if you ask me. It will give Kambosas a chance to recapture his IBF title. Who cares? Which he lost to Devin Haney by a lopsided 12-round unanimous decision last year in June, as we all know, in Melbourne, Australia, where a massive horde of Aussies showed up to see the Kambosas fight, and they have been quite disappointed with what they saw. Interestingly, the Haney-Kambosas rematch was moved to the much smaller 15,000-seat Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne, and this suggests the fans weren't as eager to see Kambosas after his previous loss to Haney. So does Kambosas deserve to fight for IBF world title? It's unclear why the International Boxing Federation has the 30-year-old Kambosas ranked so high, given his record is 1-2 in his last 3 fights. He probably should be 0-3 if you saw his recent match against Maxie Hughes. The contenders in the IBF rankings would be far better option than number 2 Kambosas to be fighting for the 135 belt against Lomachenko, for example, Raymond Muratalla, William Zapita, Edwin De Los Santos, Frank Martin, Floyd Schofield, Maxie Hughes again, Isaac Cruz, Jermaine Ortiz, and Keyshawn Davis. Kambosas doesn't fit in among those talents, and he doesn't belong inside the ring with the gifted legend Lomachenko, aside from sparring purposes. He'd make an excellent sparring partner for Lomachenko, but a horrible opponent for a real fight. All right, let's move along to another story in BoxingNews24.com's website. They are reporting that PBC is very, very close to a deal with Amazon Prime. And when I say close, I'm going to say they're probably millions of dollars apart in asking and offering prices. PBC is obviously asking a lot, but Amazon Prime has 160 167 million subscribers. It's Amazon Prime. That's a big channel. They've got a lot of money, but are they willing to put it into PBC and see what happened with PBC and especially Showtime? So Al Heyman's got a lot of great fighters, but they won't sit around inactive for years if you cannot find a new broadcast partner. Keep in mind, Talkin Fight has offered to live stream the PBC fights, but have so far gotten no response from Al. PBC, as I said, they got a lot of good fighters, but unfortunately, many of those fights are disappointing to watch, with the A-side fighter facing up opposition has very little chance of winning. For example, rather than seeking mismatches involving Gervonta Davis, we could see PBC matching up against higher quality opposition if Amazon Prime executives insist on competitive fights. Do the people at Amazon Prime really know anything about boxing, would be my question. Many of Gervonta's fights for PBC have been mismatches from the word go and horrible to watch unless you're the type of fan that enjoys non-competitive fights. In theory, that would bring in my viewers to PBC's boxing events, expanding the reach of Heyman's company. This could create pressure on BBC to put on more entertaining fights forward, which would be good for the fans. So, the word on the street is PBC is very close to a deal with Amazon, but that would suggest Amazon has more money than brains. Now, maybe they do. So we'll see what happens there. Let's move along to another of the great talkers in the world of boxing. Good old Mauricio Sulaiman, head of WBC, as we're gearing up to see a bunch of heavyweights fight on December 23rd over in Saudi Arabia. Basically, Sulaiman is saying that the card is almost like a de facto tournament for the sanctioning body and is sure to shake up their standings. Yeah. He said, in itself, it is a natural WBC elimination tournament. You have Wilder at number 1, Joshua, you have Parker, you have Otto Wallen. All of these are highly ranked in the WBC. After December, we're going to see a different picture in the rankings, he explained. It looks like Wilder and Joshua are on a collision course, he continued. That could very well be a final elimination to determine a mandatory contender for the WBC title. The WBC heavyweight title is currently held by Tyson Fury, who is intending to stage an undisputed title unification with Alexander Usyk in the coming year, with another marquee fight to follow should things not go awry. So that will be a great fight between Fury and Usyk if it happens. If it does happen, then those belts will be unified, and I really doubt either. Let's crystal ball this one. If Tyson Fury wins, he'll have all 4 belts. Does he have any reason to fight anymore? Not really. Would Usyk? I'd argue yes, because of the 2, I'll bet Tyson Fury is going to get a lot more money. And not that Usyk or Tyson Fury need money, but would they see the winner of a Wilder versus Joshua fight as something that they would like to engage in? I would say Usyk yes, Fury no. Would I even see Fury entertaining another fight with Ngannou? No. I think Fury should do exactly what McGregor's done, and that is invest his money wisely, which he's probably doing, I'm guessing. He's got a lot of great support on the back end of what he does, but put that Saudi money to good use, I would argue, and support other endeavors, support other young people in what they're doing, whether in boxing or in other fighting ventures, whether that be an Irish pub or not. All right. Thank you for joining me once again. I appreciate it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you later on at 4 p.m. For Mike Gore's show, Knuckle Up. That's Eastern Time. And join me again tomorrow here on Talkin Fight at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you very much. We'll see you then.